On August 23, 2004, a training exercise beneath Paris turned into something out of a nightmare. French police officers descended into the restricted sections of the Paris Catacombs, a 200-mile labyrinth beneath the city where 6 million bodies rest in eternal darkness. Their headlamps cut through the pitch-black tunnels as they navigated past walls of human skulls and bones stacked floor to ceiling. Then they saw a sign. No public entry. Police aren't the public. They continued forward. Suddenly, the darkness erupted. Dogs snarled and barked from every direction. The officers froze, hearts hammering, hands reaching for their weapons. They called out, coaxed the invisible animals with soft words. But the growling only intensified. Then their flashlights found it. Speakers. A stereo system. Guard dog sounds burned onto a CD and wired through a professional audio setup. Someone had booby-trapped this section of the catacombs. But why? The officers pressed deeper into the tunnel. What they discovered next would make international headlines. A fully functioning underground movie theater complete with a bar, restaurant, professional electricity, and phone lines, all hidden 60 feet beneath the streets of Paris. The cavern was carved into solid rock, decorated with mysterious symbols, and filled with everything from projection equipment to a pressure cooker for making couscous. The question that haunted investigators then, and still haunts them today, is simple. Who builds a secret cinema in a mass grave? And more importantly, how many other rooms exist down there that we haven't found yet? To understand what police discovered in 2004, you first need to understand what the Paris catacombs really are, and what they've become. In the late 1780s, Paris faced a crisis. The city's cemeteries were overflowing, literally. Heavy rains would wash festering corpses from their graves into the streets. The stench of decay hung over entire neighborhoods. Something had to be done. City officials found their solution beneath their feet. Miles of abandoned limestone quarries that had been mined since Roman times. For 12 years, nightly processions of black cloth-covered wagons carried the dead from Paris's cemeteries into these underground tunnels. 6 million bodies. Skulls, femurs, and tibias arranged into elaborate walls and patterns. An empire of the dead stretching over 200 miles beneath the city of light. Today, tourists can visit a small, sanitized portion of the catacombs, about 1.5 kilometers of carefully maintained tunnels near Dunfer-Rochereau. They descend 131 steps, walk past the famous sign reading, Arrête, c'est ici l'empire de la mort. Stop, this is the empire of death, and spend about 45 minutes among the bones before returning to the surface. But that official tour represents less than 1% of what exists underground. The other 99%? That's where things get interesting. Entering these restricted sections has been illegal since 1955. Penalties include a €60 fine and potential arrest. But that hasn't stopped an underground subculture from thriving in the darkness. They call themselves cataphiles, lovers of the catacombs. These urban explorers have been descending into the forbidden tunnels for decades. They've mapped sections city officials don't know exist. They've created art galleries, concert venues, and swimming pools in naturally occurring underground reservoirs. Some spend entire weekends underground, navigating by miners' lamps through passages so narrow you have to crawl, through water that reaches your thighs, past century-old graffiti and fresh tags marking territorial claims. The cataphile community has its own codes and hierarchies. Experienced guides pass down hand-drawn maps like treasure charts. Entry points are guarded secrets, constantly changing as police seal manholes, only to have cataphiles pierce through them again. They organize catasprints, underground races through the tunnels where participants must reach checkpoints without surfacing. They hold parties in rooms they've dubbed the beach, decorated with sand and a painted wave in the style of Hokusai, and the Z Room, a 7-meter-tall gallery beneath Val de Grace Hospital. But the 2004 cinema discovery revealed something different. This wasn't a simple party space. This was infrastructure. When police returned 3 days later with electrical experts to trace the power source, they found something chilling. Everything was gone. Phone lines cut, equipment removed, chairs vanished. All that remained was a note in the middle of the empty cavern. "Do not try to find us." A secret organization called Les UX, short for Urban Experiment, also known as La Mexicaine de Perforation, the Mexican Consolidated Drilling Authority, later claimed responsibility. Through their spokesman Lazar Kunstmann, they revealed they'd been using the underground cinema for years, hosting film festivals every summer in a space they'd meticulously carved and decorated. They'd chosen a location beneath the Palais de Chaillot, which housed Paris's famous Cinémathèque Française, making it doubly appropriate for their underground screenings. The cinema wasn't their only project. Les UX had spent decades restoring forgotten parts of Paris's underground infrastructure. They'd repaired the Pantheon's clock, which chimed for the first time in years after their intervention. They'd restored medieval crypts. They'd staged plays in monuments after dark. But the cinema represented their masterwork, proof that beneath the Paris tourist's photograph, an entirely different city exists. The authorities were baffled. Symbols painted on the cinema's ceiling included swastikas, Celtic crosses, and stars of David. "We have no idea whatsoever," a police spokesman told reporters. "We don't think it's extremists. Some sect or secret society, maybe. There are any number of possibilities." The truth is likely simpler and stranger. Les UX appears to be a collective of artists, engineers, and urban explorers united by one belief: that Paris's forgotten spaces deserve to be reclaimed, restored, and reimagined. They're not cultists. They're preservationists who happen to work in the dark, without permission, surrounded by millions of dead. The cinema discovery exposed how little authorities actually know about what happens in the restricted sections. A special police unit called ERIC, part of the Inspection Générale des Carrières, patrols the tunnels, but with fewer than 5 full-time officers covering 200 miles of passages, they're fighting a losing battle. And while the cinema is the most famous discovery, it's far from the only one. In 2017, thieves used the catacombs to break into a wine cellar from below, stealing over €250,000 worth of wine. In 2015, Airbnb paid €350,000 to stage a one-night Halloween stay in the ossuary. Urban explorers continue to find rooms that don't appear on any official maps, spaces that have been sealed for decades, waiting in the dark. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect isn't what's been discovered, it's what remains hidden. The cinema incident revealed an uncomfortable truth. Thousands of people enter the Paris catacombs illegally every year, and authorities have no idea where most of them go. Some never come back out. On June 14, 2017, 2 teenagers, aged 16 and 17, entered the catacombs on a Saturday night. They didn't emerge for 3 days. Rescue teams with sniffer dogs searched through pitch-black tunnels in a 4-hour operation before finally tracking the boys' scent. They were found suffering from severe hypothermia, having wandered in darkness through passages where the temperature hovers around 15 degrees Celsius. It was thanks to the dogs that we found them, a Paris Fire Department spokesman told reporters. It's not clear who alerted authorities, likely terrified parents, or how the teenagers got so catastrophically lost. What is clear, they're among the lucky ones. The catacombs have officially claimed only one confirmed death. In 1793, Philibert Asper, a doorkeeper for Val-de-Grâce Hospital, descended into the tunnels. Some say he was searching for a hidden cache of alcohol. Armed with nothing but a candle, he ventured into the darkness. 11 years later, they found his body. He was discovered just a few meters from a staircase leading to an exit, so close to salvation he could have touched it in the dark. A bottle of liquor lay nearby. Today, his tombstone stands in the exact spot where he died, serving as a macabre meeting point for cataphiles and a warning to anyone who underestimates these tunnels. But Aspert's is the only officially confirmed death. The key word is officially. Urban legends persist about others who vanished underground. In the early 1990s, a video camera was allegedly discovered in the catacombs containing disturbing footage of a man growing increasingly panicked and disoriented before dropping the camera and running into darkness. His fate remains unknown, the video's authenticity debated. The Paris Catacombs continue to fascinate and terrify in equal measure. The official tour sees 500,000 visitors annually, all safely guided through that sanitized 1.5 kilometers. But beneath their feet, in sections they'll never see, cataphiles still explore. Artists still create. And secrets still wait in rooms that may not see light for another 100 years. The question isn't whether there are more hidden spaces down there. The question is, what happens in them when no one's watching? And who or what guards them in the dark?